So equanimity sounds like being cooled out and detached, but actually, as we would define it in the mindfulness tradition, it's radical non-interference with the natural flow of sensory experience. So if you have emotions in the body, you don't push them down, but you don't latch on to them inappropriately either. It's a sort of non-pushing and pulling, a hands-off with regards to the flow of your senses, which does not for a moment imply a hands-off with regards to the flow of events in the world. You can be very proactive and even pushy with regards to circumstances and conditions. Mm-hmm. But equanimity means that you're not pushing and pulling on the natural operation of your senses. Your senses defined as external sight, external sound, physical type body sensations, your mental images, your internal talk, and your emotional body sensations. You let touch, sight, sound, feel, image, talk expand and contract as they wish without interference.
Let me just make sure I get that right. So equanimity is my experience, thoughts and feelings and body sensation and how I'm experiencing the world in terms of sight and sound. I'm just letting that happen and watching that kind of flow, I don't know, like waves or something, but that's separate from my wanting to do an action in the world to change things.
Yes. In other words, as you become passive in a sense with regards to, in the sense that you're passive in the sense that you don't fight yourself. You train, another way to look at equanimity is it's training your sensory circuits not to interfere with themselves. So you could compare it to if your sensory experience is the engine of a car, equanimity is oiling the engine so the parts don't grind against each other.
And causing that's being in the Tao, or that's that flow that we're going for?
It can lead to an experience of fluidity, but sometimes it can lead to an experience of solidity because you're willing to let things melt and freeze. There's another this is going to be T.S. Eliot time. There's another T.S. Eliot line, midwinter spring is its own season. Between melting and freezing, the soul's sap quivers. You have to be willing to melt and freeze. The equanimity is equanimity with whatever form the senses take. But what equanimity does is, it's a skill. So it's another way to look at it is it's learning to love every sensory experience as it arises, but not to hold on to it inappropriately as it passes.
How do you develop that skill? I'd like that one.
Everyone would, because
that's a good skill.
Yeah, it's a good skill.
Let's all have some equanimity.
I concur. And why it's a good skill is you'll discover that when you have equanimity with pain, it still hurts, but it doesn't bother you. And when you have equanimity with pleasure, it not only feels good, it satisfies you. People think they want to be free from pain and to have pleasure, but what they really want is to be free from pain being a problem and to have pleasure that gives satisfaction. And it turns out that the quality of equanimity does that. So when you say, I'd like,
some of
it's
that,
like
please.
That joke. It's like, I'd like to have what she's
having. I want some of that. That's what I just
that's
said.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the equanimity is definitely something. And how do you, that people desirable, highly desirable, and in fact, more than desirable, may be absolutely essential. If you have some physical or emotional pain that cannot be gotten rid of by changing circumstances or by analgesia or psychotropics or whatever, then you've got a choice of either developing equanimity or being mired in abject suffering. So definitely equanimity is not only desirable, it may be pivotal to making life worth living under certain circumstances.